What's happening, folks? DFS 5-pack here to do a little sports conversation, do our part to put a little entertainment out there for the few of you guys watching those. Thumbs up is always appreciated. Hope you all are managing to maintain that sanity because, like we were just talking for a few minutes, God, is it boring. I miss sports so much.
It's so boring. I got a message from someone this morning, like, baseball's back. And I'm like, what are you, like, basically, what are you reading? What are you talking about? And I finally figured out that he was talking about DK has now put out Korean baseball, which, starts the first slate is like on a Tuesday. So funny, but I don't know, man. I might dabble in it, but I don't even know the players. It's not the same. Let's put it that way.
No, it's not. I feel like it's getting to the point where I would bet on pretty much anything right now. Actually, if I had any money to actually bet, I'd bet on pretty much anything right now. Like, it was my son's 12th birthday yesterday. And, like, it just sucks. I'm like, sorry, like, I'll get you, like, a little present, but we'll do more after quarantine's over. What do you want to do today? Oh, it's crappy out. We can't do anything. I don't know. A lot of people are dealing with it. It's not like he's alone. It just sucks. You can't do anything for his birthday.
Yeah, that's awful. Like, nothing's open. Oh, that's the worst. I feel bad for you, for him, for everyone else that's in that spot.
Yeah, and there's a lot of us, again. We know that no matter what we're going through, there are definitely people who have it worse. Mostly just dealing with lack of income and boredom. The boredom almost seems worse, though.
The boredom's awful, man.
All right, guys. So we'll just do the typical thing. We'll go through some, I don't know, betting and sports-related questions and just try to have a little bit of fun. So you probably know my answer to this one already. But besides betting on sports and playing fantasy sports, what's your favorite non-sports-related type of gambling?
Blackjack. I like playing blackjack in the casino. I like sports betting and DFS much more, but it's definitely my second favorite. I like playing blackjack. I'm pretty good at blackjack, which doesn't hurt in that matter. So yeah, easily blackjack for me. I know yours.
So definitely poker for me, but I played a lot of blackjack. When I was in high school, the casino around here locally was 18 plus. So as my friends started turning 18 and I had a fake ID and I looked old when I was 17. So, like, I almost never even got carded going in there. Because I was just, I looked like I was in my mid-20s when I was in high school because I already had, like, muscles and stuff like that. So I played a lot of blackjack, lost a lot of my college fund money. Why my parents gave me free reign to thousands of dollars in college money that I could just take out at a whim doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't even know if they ever noticed how much I was taking out of there. Or checking it very, very closely because that was like before online banking when you could check your balances so simply. So I played a lot of blackjack, and I love blackjack. It's not a super challenging game for the basics, but like the strategy of, like, I guess, making the right move and not just being scared to bust, splitting when you're supposed to split. It's fun.
I love it. I love, like, you just talked about, like, I am. Like, I know the ins and outs of blackjack, so I'm good at it. And so that makes it better for I don't know that many. Like, I can play poker, but I'm not, like, a good poker player. I can play other card games, but I've never been, like, a big cards guy. So blackjack is, like you said, it's easy. And then once you become, like, good at it, you start to learn more. And you just develop your own style. I don't know. Like, for me, I play to let the dealer bust. So, like, that's how I play. So very, I would say, like, non-aggressive in a way. Like, I never hit, you know what I mean? I don't know. I play to let the dealer bust. I put it that way.
My buddy Klarner, we always joke about this because he's one of the guys you played with back in high school. He's just very lucky when it comes to cards. Like, we would be sitting there on a blackjack table and, like, our four buddies would all have gone bust within a half hour. He's sitting there up $500. I mean, this guy was winning $1,000 plus on the regular. And in high school, that was all the money in the world. Played a lot of blackjack. So for me, I definitely love playing poker, but I am a blackjack fan. Slots do nothing for me. The game I would love to learn to play, though, is craps. I think I would love it. I think I would enjoy it. I just I've never made it a priority to learn the rules. But from everybody I know who plays craps and knows my style of thinking, they say that I would love craps.
Everyone says that everyone would love craps because everyone who loves craps absolutely loves craps. It's a really hard game to learn. I've dabbled. I don't know it well enough either, so I can't, like, play it on my own. But I agree with you. That would be the one too. It's a complicated game, but once you, like anything else, once you learn it, you've got it.
Yeah, it's different. Like poker is so simplistic in like the actual rules that I could teach any one of you if you didn't play poker. I could teach you the basic rules, the order of the cards, couple of key points in maybe 20 minutes. But to actually be great at poker is extremely difficult because you're playing against other very talented human beings. Craps, the rules are difficult. So it does take some work to actually get into it. Like it wouldn't take just 20 minutes.
That's a great point. I mean, it's a great comparison, or opposite, whatever you want to call it. Craps is not a game where you need to read people like poker is, because it's just the roll of the dice. So once you learn it, it's very easy. But learning it is complicated. Exactly.
Okay, so speaking of poker, I watched a show or a movie on Netflix the other day, and I've watched a buttload of them over the last few weeks, called Molly's Game. It's got Kevin Costner, Michael Cera, and this lady Jessica Chastain. It's based on a true story. I thought it was awesome. I like the Jessica Chastain character. She plays this really strong protagonist female. It's based on a true story about her running these like high-end poker games. I think you would like it. I think most of y'all would like it. So if you're bored, it's on Netflix. It's called Molly's Game.
Sweet. Writing it down now.
Yeah, again, we all have plenty of time on our hands, at least some of us more than others.
Yes, this is true.
All right, moving down the list. You asked the question, Draymond Green or Dennis Rodman, who would I rather have on my team and why? Two very topical guys right now, right?
Yeah, and they're talking about each other. I've heard them talk about each other, especially Rodman on Draymond. I'm interested to how you feel about this, because for me, it's easy.
All right, so I think for me, a lot of this would depend on the team that I had built around him. And what I mean by that is if I had a team like the Warriors are constructed, where I was spread out with shooters like that, but I never really...
He's the first guy on your team.
Then I'd go with Rodman. I like the energy.
Yeah, me too. It's Rodman, and it's pretty much not even close. I respect Draymond's game. I do. I mean, he's a key part of the Warriors' titles. And
he's a perfect fit for those guys because he's a very good passing big man, but he can't shoot a lick. He's a great defender, but neither of these guys bring any offense. But as just a pure like energy on the team, I want Rodman. But if I need a guy who could help distribute, then Draymond brings something that Dennis just didn't have.
This is true. Rodman is just like, Draymond is a good defender too, and he's a good rebounder, but Rodman is great in both those regards. And that means a lot. Like one of, if not the best defender ever, an all-time defender. It's not to discredit Draymond Green. It's more like to give credit where credit is due with Rodman. He was really good even in his Detroit days.
Yeah, both of these dudes are black holes when it comes to shooting. I kid you not. Even though we'll get maybe 100 views on this video, there's probably two guys. If you took the best two shooters that listen to this video and set them up in a three-point contest against Draymond Green and Dennis Rodman, they might actually win.
Against Rod, yeah, I mean, maybe, for sure.
Like, Rodman can't shoot a lick, especially from the outside, brought no offense, but pound for pound rebounding, the only guy that rivals him is Charles Barkley.
Yeah, exactly. Who also, has found himself in the Draymond Green narrative recently.
What is Draymond thinking? Like, this just seems like a classic. This reminds me of the Packers in a little bit. Like, why is he feeling himself so much? Like, no offense, dude, you're good, but like those teams were Steph. Like, you're the third or fourth banana.
He doubled down on his Barkley statements too. I don't know if you heard that. Like, basically, like, yeah, like Barkley's jealous of me. Yeah, he scored more than me, but that doesn't mean he has as big of an impact on the game as I did. And like, that point is true. Just because someone scored more than you doesn't mean that they had more of an impact. But it's Charles, like Barkley, and this is why like the whole rings culture, and you talk about like not winning a title. Like Barkley's an all-time great basketball player, a top 50 player of all time. Draymond Green's not.
Maybe top 25. He could be the best player to never have a ring.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's 100. Like no one would not have him be a top 50 NBA player ever. No one. A lot of people, like you said, maybe top 25. Draymond Green's just not that guy. He got put in an amazing spot, and he's made himself into be a really good NBA player, but he's not a guy that can, as the best player on his team, like take a team to multiple NBA finals.
I mean, he's been exposed this year how he's just not like anybody who thinks he's a one, like he's like to be the best guy or even the second best guy on a championship team. No, he's a great role player, excellent defender, solid rebounder, inept shooter, but he'll at least take an open three on like a Ben Simmons or something like that. But he's not a guy that breaks you down off the dribble. That's what you need when playing basketball. Yes, it helps to have the role players, rebounders, shooters, and things like that. But if you don't have a guy who can break you down off the dribble, create the need for a double team to leave other people open, I mean, he's just not that dude.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, we see this one pretty similarly. I was excited to talk to you about it.
Well, I know we got some younger viewers out there, guys in their young 20s and stuff like that who never watched Charles Barkley or Dennis Rodman play. If you go back up onto like Basketball Reference and look at like Dennis Rodman's stats, he's like such not an offensive threat, but the energy and defense and rebounding that he brought, if you can good offensive players around him, I mean, he's going to fit in anywhere.
I just realized that I gave you 6 questions because I forgot to start numbering at number 1, which is just all good, more for the people.
I think I only have 10 up here. Maybe we can just bring that one up impromptu at the end.
Cool.
Whatever I miss. All right, next and up. So I'll give you my thoughts on this one real quickly. Who had the best and the worst the NFL drafts? Your opinion means more right here just because you know a lot more about the guys being drafted. For me, I mean, I just left the Packers up here on the slide because I think it's difficult not to agree with the masses here that they had the worst draft, strategically especially. Not saying that the guys that they got can't play or that I can't even think Jordan Love won't be a great quarterback at some point, but it makes no sense that Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur seem to have hitched their entire wagon to Jordan Love. So I'm with everybody else who thinks it was terrible. It made no sense. It wasn't logical. You see ESPN coming out with, Jamal Williams would be trade bait. What do you think you're getting for Jamal Williams? At best, a 7th-round pick?
I mean, so it's not even about, like you said, it's not even about like Jordan Love. It's about, like, we talk a lot about addition by subtraction. This is the opposite. Think about what bringing a quarterback in the first round, does to the mood and to the swagger of that team that was 1 game away from the Super Bowl. Packers definitely had the worst draft as far as I'm concerned. I got a few teams listed for best draft. We'll ultimately get to 1. But for worst draft, it's not even a question. You basically, it's not even about whether these guys will be good. It's about your team that had a good shot to be a Super Bowl team this year, and now they didn't do anything to add to it. Probably going to have like this, a lot of people not happy in the locker room. One of the
Here's
worst
a question for you. When I sent you that picture yesterday that Aaron Rodgers has 1 career touchdown pass to a first-round draft pick and Peyton Manning has almost 300, does that change your opinion on these two guys at all?
No, because I love Aaron Rodgers. I've always told you I think that he's I think him and Peyton Manning are very very much on par with each other. The reason that doesn't change much for me is because I'm not going to discredit for Peyton Manning for having good receivers to throw to, and he made those receivers really good more than the other way around.
I mean, Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison are pretty good wide receivers, but I get your point. I was just wondering what your thoughts are on that one. Again, I don't want to spend a lot of time on my reasoning behind who had the best draft. I think an easy, low-hanging fruit answer might be the Miami Dolphins.
Okay, so I ultimately get to the Dolphins. First,
3 first-round picks, right? I mean, that's just the logistics that went into the pre-draft, right?
Yeah, but for me, it's just about them getting Tua. NFL is a lot of hit or miss. You never really know who wins a draft until a few years later. But we do know that the Dolphins were, quote-unquote, tanking for Tua, but they ended up not being that bad. Still got Tua because, he got injured. That's a win right away for them.
What are your thoughts on Tua? Because, I mean, I don't know a ton about him, haven't watched him play. But I was listening to this, I forget which analyst it was, talking about, people, he's so injury prone. A lot of his injuries were freak injuries, and those seem to pile up on some people. But this is a guy that, a lot of people loved.
I think he'll be better than Burrow in the NFL.
Okay.
He's just a better athlete. Now, injuries are a concern, but who aren't injuries a concern for in the NFL? I mean, I'm with you. Again, I think that the Dolphins made out like bandits here. Other teams that had good drafts, the Browns, I liked their draft. I loved the Broncos draft. Really thought about them as the top draft. The Ravens, unfortunately, always draft well. They had another real good draft.
Solid organization.
I like what the Panthers did. And then I actually like what the Jaguars did. So I had mentioned a guy I liked, Laviska Shenault, on the video that we made, and the Jaguars got him in the 2nd round, and I love that pick. So that stands out to me. But again, we really won't know until a couple years down the road.
Yeah, again, as far as Green Bay goes, if Jordan Love does become the third straight Hall of Fame quarterback for Green Bay, then a lot of us who have been really hard on Green Bay will have been wrong. My thoughts on
No, I don't think
like
so.
we're not. Okay, you get that. Like I agree with the guy who said like if he's Patrick Mahomes 2.0, you were right, we were wrong. But it seems like such a stupid risk to take, right? Like you win all in on a guy who, if things go well, doesn't play for years down the road. I think somebody else said it. Green Bay never is just taking the opportunity. Just go for it. You've had 30 plus years of Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Like, go for it.
It makes no sense. So,
No.
yeah, you're right. First off, like I said, I think you agree. It's not even about Jordan Love. It's about that they didn't add something to help this year, and instead they added, Aaron Rodgers replaced it. You're right.
Yeah.
If Jordan Love turns out to be Patrick Mahomes or even Aaron Rodgers,
sure, right.
You're
yeah.
right, I'm wrong. That's not going to happen, man. I'm confident saying that. Not because of Jordan Love, just
because you'll make that bet on anybody.
That doesn't happen. It happens once every 20 years, I feel like. So it's much more likely not to happen than happen. I do think
like you talk about Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes, I will bet on anybody in the world not to be that guy. I don't care how good he is coming out of college.
Same. I really, I took to heart when you talked about how it really seems like Matt LaFleur is like putting his foot down in the organization, maybe is trying to get rid of Aaron Rodgers. Who knows? But I think he might have gotten a little arrogant, and you don't bite the hand that feeds you. I agree. I know Stephen A. Smith a lot of times like, demand for a trade. Like, I don't think Aaron Rodgers has that many years left. If I'm him, I want out of Green Bay. I do.
Yeah. Oh, man. The idea of him going to New England, watching what him and Belichick would do together. I mean, the motivation on both sides right there. Oh, my God. I think I would be entertained by it. Now, I don't want Green Bay to lose Aaron Rodgers, and I'm going to be a Packer fan before I'm going to be a Rodgers fan long term. But in this situation, I'd have to side with my quarterback on this one.
So that's the thing. Like, if let's say that Aaron Rodgers like forced a trade, you're always going to be a Packers fan before Rodgers fan. But
yeah,
if I were in that spot, like I wouldn't. Like Rodgers did nothing wrong, even if he asked for a trade. So like I would still root for Rodgers. It would hurt, but I would still root for him.
Especially if he's in the AFC. Like it was really easy to root for Brett Favre when he was on the Jets. And that was a situation where I thought the Green Bay made the wrong move, and I was wrong. And I could admit it. I admitted it within the first year. I'm like, no, Rodgers is good. This guy's going to be here for 15 years. They made the right move. And you just have to be like, you know what? I was wrong when I thought they should have held on to Favre for another year. Because for a lot of the same reasons, like I'm never going to bet on somebody to be better than Brett Favre. Turns out I was wrong. Aaron Rodgers is clearly a better quarterback than Brett Favre.
But he also did, but it's not even the point, though, like for what we're talking about. Because the point is that they were one game away from the Super Bowl, and they drafted in the first two rounds a guy that won't see the field for a couple years and a running back at one of their deepest positions. It's one of the worst drafts on paper I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I like the ability, and we talk about this in like auction drafts for fantasy. If there's somebody you like and you don't think you're going to get them next round, you got to make the move to go get them, right? But this is multiple times I've seen this out of the Packers, and it's under a new regime this time, so I can't fault them for things that Ted Thompson did. But, I'm thinking of a situation like 10 years ago when they drafted Justin Harrell in the middle of the first round because they really wanted him. But then, like, everybody's like, he wasn't going till the third. I get that you want him, but you can get him in the second. Like, it didn't make sense to anybody. Even if you end up being right, you were still wrong to do it.
I did hear that, like, of course you're going to hear this because I'm sure Green Bay, Matt LaFleur got big insight that some team was going to trade up for Jordan Love, and he didn't want some team to draft him before him. I don't know. That's just so stupid.
Sounds like BS to me.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, next up. So you asked me, haven't won as many year-long fantasy football championships the last 2 years as I usually do. Usually I play in like 8 or 9 leagues and, I'll run 7, 8 of them myself. And I usually, get 2 or 3 championships every year. I haven't had as many last year. But the thing that I can't hang my hat on is I was full up on Patrick Mahomes 2 years ago and full up on Lamar Jackson last year. So you asked me, who is my guy this year to be taking in the later rounds at quarterback position? I got 3 guys for you. One I think you'll really like. So I went down and I looked at some of the projections on where quarterbacks are going if people did fantasy football drafts right now. I saw Brady ranking around rounds 8 or 9. I would jump at him in rounds 8 or 9 right now. The problem is he ain't going to go to round 8 or 9. Every single draft is going to have Tom Brady. There's going to be one guy who's going to reach for him way early. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and I like Brady a lot this year because I think it's a statement year for Brady. But
sure, big year, great weapons too, right?
Yes, but I also I probably won't be the one that reaches for him.
No, I mean, put it this way. He's projected around round 9 right now where I look. I think he moves up to round 6 or 7 for projections. And I think he's going round 4 in a lot of drafts because there'll be one guy who's going to reach for him. He's got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski. I mean, that's just a lot of weapons. I don't know if he's going to be that great, but, if he was really, really, truly a round 9 guy, that would be the guy.
Agreed. I agree with that. He's not, though. So
okay.
Go on.
All right, so then moving down from there in round 6 or 7, I see Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills, and I think that is a solid play. It's not quite as far as I've been able to get with Mahomes and Lamar, who I was getting in rounds 10 and 11 in the last 2 years, but I do like the value you potentially get out of a Josh Allen. Added a legit number 1 wide receiver in Stephon Diggs. Those rushing yards and rushing touchdowns that they get are really, really big. So he's a guy, depending on if he falls to me, I'll be real big on. But the other guy that, post round 10, your boy Baker Mayfield.
I love him. That's who I was going to say, man. I like him a lot this year. Obviously a lack of hype, big time make it or break it year for Baker. He's good. I don't know how good he is, but he's not a scrub. If he sucks this year, I'll change that statement. But I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt of a shitty head coach last year. Too much hype coming into the year. I like Baker a lot this year. I could see them being, they're going to be a run-oriented team, but Kirk Cousins.
I was just going to say, that's why I'm not as big on him.
Yeah, I think that you're going to see a lot of that. Their offense is kind of similar to what Minnesota had.
Yeah, I like him, but that was my biggest hesitation on him. I don't have anybody this year, at least as of right now, where they're going to be my quarterback. What's that?
Why not Kyler?
Because he's going in round 4. Everybody likes Kyler. He's not sneaking up on anybody. I don't like to draft a quarterback in round 4. Murray's a guy who might be going in round 3 for some people.
Not for me.
Well, yeah, I almost never draft a quarterback. I do think there's a possibility that I could end up with Josh Allen on a lot of teams. If he's really falling to round 6 or 7, and I've doubled up and I got 2 running backs and wide receivers I feel comfortable on, and he's there for me, I like him a lot in that. But that's about as early as I ever go on a quarterback.
Oh, man. I'm with you. And I don't even love Josh Allen this year personally. I don't know. I think there's not that there's too much hype. There's other guys I prefer. Quarterbacks are so plentiful that he probably won't be where I land.
Well, and again, I almost always wait on quarterback. So to me, that's early still to go on a quarterback is round 6 or 7. Now in the right situation, I could do that, or I mostly do auctions anyways, where if it's for the right price. But I mean, getting Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson for $2-3 the last 2 years has been amazing. Now I haven't capitalized, taken a lot of bad beats in the playoffs, but that doesn't change the fact that I felt very comfortable with those guys and they worked out well. But that's just good luck 2 years in a row. We'll call it that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up. So the question that I asked you, and this is more of a strategy than the names. I took up 3 of the top.
Hold on.
It's the pitchers versus the hitters.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say because it doesn't even matter for me. But okay, I was confused for a second, but glad you explained that.
So to explain the question to those who are listening, I gave us a list of players and how would you start an MLB franchise just playing for this year? This is not a long-term future thing. And the choice was, Mr. Bellman, you can start with Max Scherzer, Garrett Cole, Jack Flaherty, 3 of the best 10 pitchers in baseball, arguably 1-2 in Max and Cole. And then Flaherty is also very, very good. And that name can be interchangeable, Flaherty too. If you want to put it a different guy, a Strasburger or something, I'm fine with that. Or Christian Yelich, Mike Trout, Javier Baez, Nolan Arenado, Cody Bellinger, 5 of the top position players in the league. Where would you go? You're playing to win the World Series this year.
The pitchers, I think it's really close because you got more hitters first off. But in all actuality, you're filling up more of your pitching staff than you are of your lineup because you're filling up 3/5 of your staff, 5
Good way to
nights.
look at it. I didn't even think about it that way, but you broke me down with stats, Bellman. You know I'm a fan.
What's funny is I actually just thought about that because I didn't really even go into my reasoning. My reasoning is this. It's difficult because you've got elite hitters versus elite pitchers. And I figured as much with Flaherty. He was interchangeable, whether it be Flaherty or Clevenger or Strasburg or Buehler, or whatever it is.
I had Clevenger on this list originally, but I took him out to put in Cole because I wanted it to be more overwhelming.
Yeah, I got where you were going. It's just easier to find replacement hitters. Not saying that you're going to get the level of hitting that these guys, put out because you're not. But it's easier to find hitters who are rolling, who are hot, for lack of a better word. And as the old adage says, man, good pitching beats good hitting. That's exactly what happened to the 95 Indians against the Braves. Give me the pitchers here. It pains me to say that because I love all those hitters, but give me the pitchers. Do you agree or disagree?
I do agree, and I think we see this pretty much exactly eye for eye, that it's a struggle, but I went with the pitchers as well.
I knew you would agree with that because, well, actually, no, go on. Explain why.
I mean, you explained it. Our thought process on this one is almost identical. I will take 3 of my 5 starts a week, or however you want to break it down, with 3 of the top pitchers in the league, knowing that I probably only got to score an average of 3 runs in those games. And then come postseason, I'll definitely give you the 3 pitchers over the hitters.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt about that. What's interesting is this is like the exact opposite of your fantasy baseball strategy.
Sure.
You like elite hitters. But yeah, 2 completely different games. All right, cool. I figured we'd see that one eye to eye. And I'm real interested I don't know what question's next, but let's keep it moving.
All right, so you phrased the question this way, that you are a team that's got a major sports franchise in every city. So for you, Cleveland, even though I don't, I consider the 3 Wisconsin teams like that. And where would you go if you could get one of these guys to lead each of these teams? And what you did is you broke down stud all-star players for baseball, very good basketball players, obviously a little difference in where you want to go right there, and then quarterbacks. So the list goes like this, and I'll read it off for those of you just listening. Option 1, Mike Trout, Kawhi Leonard, Kirk Cousins. Option 2, Bryce Harper, Nikola Jokic, Drew Brees. Option 3, Nolan Arenado, LeBron James, Baker Mayfield. Option 4, Ronald Acuna Jr., Joel Embiid, Matt Ryan. Option 5, Lindor, Giannis, Jimmy Garoppolo. And option 6, Cody Bellinger, Bradley Beal, or Russell Wilson. So I had to think about this one long and hard.
I love this question.
It's really close.
It is close. This is the best question I've come up with since we started doing this, in my opinion. So I'm really interested to see who you came with, who you thought.
Okay, so I want to break down where my thought process went. So 1, I stopped really looking at the baseball players.
Okay.
What I mean by that is these guys are all-star studs, and we've talked about this at length, that whether you have Cody Bellinger, Acuna, even Bryce Harper, who I don't think is as good as the rest of the guys on this list, but is still a really good baseball player, it doesn't really matter to me because I like, obviously I like Acuna more than I like Bryce Harper, but these guys aren't winning me championships the way that a stud basketball player would be. So I almost just took the baseball players out of the equation. And then I started looking at the quarterbacks, and honestly, I love Drew Brees. He's clearly the best guy on here, but I'm taking Drew Brees as he is right now, and Drew Brees is not as good as he once was. He's just older. That's just part of it, right? So Russell Wilson, to me, is the only really game changer out of these quarterbacks at this point. So I had to look at Bellinger, Beal, and Russell Wilson. I thought about Nolan Arenado, LeBron James, and Baker Mayfield because it's LeBron. But I look at Lindor and Nolan as being a cross-off. I thought about Lindor, Giannis, and Jimmy G, or Bellinger, Beal, and Russell Wilson. And I think I ultimately settled with my boy Giannis, but it's really close.
So I am going to take the little hometown Cleveland favorite in Arenado, LeBron, and Baker Mayfield. And a lot of it is based on what we talked about in a couple questions ago. I'm buying Baker Mayfield. I think that he's going to step up this year. And if that's the case, I think this one's a no-brainer. Well, it's not a no-brainer because they're all really good. The problem with the last one is that Beal isn't on the level of LeBron or Giannis or even close. But you do get Russell Wilson. So I don't know. I just thought it was a really cool question. It's a very just opinionated, to each their own type of question, you know?
Sure, because like Lindor and Nolan, to me, that's a cross out. You give me Francisco Lindor and Nolan Arenado. Honestly, these guys are both winners, and from my eyes, they can both hit. They play the field really well. And then Giannis and LeBron, without really knowing, just the question: is it just this year?
Yeah,
Is it
just
moving forward? Okay. I mean, those guys are. I guess I'll take LeBron in a finals game just off of resume, but Giannis is probably a better regular season player at this point. And then Jimmy G and Baker Mayfield, I mean, I guess if I had to gamble on a guy who could change a franchise, I would take Mayfield. But, last year, Jimmy G wasn't great, but he was in the Super Bowl. So I like what he brings to the table over Baker Mayfield a little bit right now. But I guess if I had to start a franchise, I'd rather bet on Baker Mayfield being the guy.
For sure. Definitely. I mean, you know what you're getting out of Jimmy G more so, which means something as well.
But like, Mayfield kind of sucked last year.
But if you need, and you just said it, so I know you agree. If you need to take a shot on one of these guys as like a potential star franchise quarterback, it's Baker Mayfield.
Right. If I had to go out and win a game tomorrow and I had the same team, I'd probably bet on Jimmy G.
Agreed.
And again, then it goes into what you talked about, which is the hometown thing. I'm a hometown Giannis guy. You're a hometown LeBron guy. So we're always we love both players, but I'm always going to have a little bit more of affinity for Giannis, and you're going to have a little bit more of affinity for LeBron.
For sure, which is also kind of why I threw Lindor in there. But I also love Arenado. So I don't know. I just had fun coming up with this question.
Yeah, it's fun to talk about. It's close. I mean, you made him close for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, Trout and Kawhi is right there. I'm so anti Kirk Cousins.
I mean, Trout and Kawhi is probably the best one too. I mean, it's right there with the Nolan, LeBron, and Lindor, Giannis, right there.
The problem for me though, with the baseball players, again, they cross each other out because I know Mike Trout's better than Francisco Lindor. I don't know that Mike Trout gives you any better chance to win.
But it's not all about winning either. Like you get Mike Trout as your I would love to have Mike Trout as the Indians player for 15 years.
Yeah, he's amazing. But Acuna is a little flashier. He might be more fun to watch. It's kind of like I'll take Kawhi Leonard over Joel Embiid, but there's something real fun about having Embiid on your team because he's hilarious.
Exactly. So, yeah, cool.
Giannis might be we talked about this a couple months ago. Giannis might be the easiest guy to root for in sports. So it's really easy to root for him.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So obviously we're getting a little weird with these things these days because we've talked about everything and with no real new information coming out. I wanted us to build a football team, but only using NBA players, and you can't use LeBron James. Otherwise, everybody would have him. We're gonna run it wide. We're gonna go quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. 3 wide receivers in total. Who was your quarterback?
My quarterback was actually the easiest one out of all of them. Ben Simmons. I just think I think he's the perfect quarterback for this. Amazing vision. He's tall. He's fast. I think he's the perfect quarterback in the NBA to play.
So this is kind of funny. I picked Chris Paul as my quarterback just because I think he's kind of like the leader. He's he's a traditional point guard. And then once I was having trouble thinking of a few players, I actually Googled this and I started reading an article and they had Chris Paul as well. And then I looked down and it's from 2012. So it's kind of like, I was like, why is Ty Lawson on this list? I'm like, oh, it's from 2012. Okay, I gotcha. So I went with Chris Paul, although honestly, he might be a little small to even play quarterback.
That's why I thought about Chris Paul, but I ultimately went with Simmons. What don't you like about Simmons at quarterback?
Because I can't have him play both quarterback and wide receiver for me.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, who is your running back?
I had 2 running backs because I read it wrong at first, and I figured I might as well just give them both credit. Russell Westbrook and Kyle Lowry.
All right, I have Westbrook playing receiver as well.
Okay.
Big guy. I mean, Russell Westbrook's bigger than we realize because he's 6'4", so I put him out at receiver. I did with the article I read though as well, and I think we all agree. You have him, I have him. The article had it. You want Westbrook because there's that dog in him. He's built. He's some of these guys who are 7 feet tall. That may not translate to the football field, but Russell Westbrook at 6'4" is reasonable.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I have Eric Bledsoe as my running back just because he's built like a running back. 6 feet tall, stout, fast, and everything like that.
For sure. It's kind of in the Kyle Lowry mold.
All right. So at wide receiver, we've already brought two.
The other guy I just want to say is Marcus.
Yeah. Who?
Marcus Smart.
Oh, that's a good pick.
Yeah. I just thought about it.
Yeah, he's built like that, not too tall, because you don't want your running back too tall. I mean, ultimately, they want him to be able to hide behind the lineman a little bit. And I think Marcus Smart's all 6'3", maybe, right? 6'4" at most.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the NBA, so guys are going to be tall, you know?
Yeah. All right, so when we move out to wide receiver, I already had Westbrook and Ben Simmons, as you mentioned. I put John Wall up there as an honorable mention, only because he hasn't played in the NBA in 13 years now, even though he's still technically on the Wizards. And I just don't know how fast he'll be this time around. But the other wide receiver I went with was De'Aaron Fox, just because he's fast and he fits. He's like the right size at 6'3", 200 pounds or whatever it is.
Yeah, I get that. For wide receivers, I went with kind of just like, so three guys. First off, Giannis, because he's just a beast. No one can stop Giannis on the outside. James Harden, because he seems like a wide receiver diva to me, and he makes. I have Harden and Durant as my other two receivers because they seem very wide receivery. They make people miss in the NBA. I don't see why they wouldn't make people miss in the NFL.
Okay, so we looked at this a little differently, which was part of the fun of it. I tried to. I was looking more at like the traditional body types, whereas you just said I'll pick some of the best players. Because if you're the best at basketball, why wouldn't you be the best at football?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And then how about for tight end? I went with Jimmy Butler. Thick. He is the right size of a tight end at 6'7", 230. I mean, that is tight end size right there. I also need a guy who's got a little fight in him to make some blocks, and that's where Jimmy Butler was perfect for me.
Yeah, I got a guy in the same mold, but for me, even a little bit better at the tight end, Pascal Siakam. Love him. Man. Okay. Just a little bit of do everything. Guy that's not afraid to get dirty, get his hands, in the mud. I like Siakam a lot, and I wanted him on this squad.
Okay. I thought about where we could put PJ Tucker because he looks like a football player. I just don't think he's fast enough for any of these skill positions. But if I had like a middle linebacker, it would have been PJ Tucker.
Mm-hmm. And LeBron easily would have been my first wide receiver or tight end if you could have picked him, like easily.
Obviously. That's why I put him as a no-go on here because he'd be everybody's first pick.
For sure.
Next up, Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley for next year. I'm going to stick with Christian McCaffrey until there's a reason not to use him. Do we feel like at some point it's possible that they take away some of his touches? I guess. But this dude's got 100-plus catches 2 straight years. Give me those safe PPR receptions. Not saying Saquon couldn't be better, but I'll take Christian McCaffrey. I have no reason to think he slows down.
It's a good one. I mean, it's a tough one. I agree. I'll take McCaffrey too, but I could see, the Giants drafted a tackle for their first pick this year. If Daniel Jones is better, I think it's a question. I'm not going to be shocked if Saquon has a better year than McCaffrey.
No, Saquon jumps off your TV screen where everybody likes him. He's the sexy toy. He just looks amazing out there. I get anybody who wants to take him if they think he's going to have more upside, if they think he's going to get more goal line carries, improvements in the Giants. You mentioned the tackle and everything like that. I don't see any way that the Panthers are not going to just base their offense around Christian McCaffrey again. So I fully expect him to go over 100 catches again this season, which is an easy way to replicate numbers.
I get that 100%. Makes sense to me.
So, but I could never fault somebody for taking Saquon. But I called McCaffrey as the leading guy last year over Saquon Barkley. So I feel good about him again because he made me look good last year.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So here's an interesting question for people. With the NBA being on layoff now for over a month, it feels both much longer and much shorter than that, if that makes sense. Of the big-time contenders being the Bucks, Clippers, and the Lakers, obviously we've talked about this at length. Yes, the Nuggets, the Rockets, the Celtics, they could all be there. But I think we all agree these are the 3 teams that are most likely the best odds to win the chip. Who do you think benefits and hurts the most from this layoff, and why?
So this is how I answer the question. I'm going to actually – I had not a lot to say, but a little bit. So, okay, I want to pull up my notes. I think that kind of like the NFL draft question, it's really hard to answer this question because we just don't know yet. I think they're all hurt in different ways that we just don't know because we're not seeing them. We don't know the situations they're all in. We've heard Milwaukee talk about how they, Giannis can't play basketball. We don't know the inner workings of each individual guy. However, this is where I ultimately landed. I doubt you'll agree with this, but I don't think you'll disagree. At the end of the day, I trust LeBron James. I don't care how long they've had off to come in and will his team and guide his team. There's a reason he made 25 straight NBA finals. I don't trust
26.
I don't trust Kawhi as much as LeBron, but I trust Kawhi. I don't trust Giannis in that situation yet. I don't not trust Giannis, but I haven't seen him take that next step yet. So ultimately, I think the Bucks might be hurt the most. But I don't know the answer to that question. I just wanted to give you something because we're talking about this out loud. I don't know, but that's where my mind went. So it's kind of just a discussion point. What do you think?
So you went Lakers, Clippers, Bucks.
Well, in terms of who would be hurt most?
No, who would be hurt the least? Like the
Yes,
Lakers.
correct.
Okay. I 100% agree with you. I have them in that exact same order. Again, Milwaukee, they had that little like 3 or 4 game losing streak right before the end. Giannis got a little banged up, but it wasn't major. But they're younger. I mean, Middleton and Bledsoe aren't like super young guys, but they're not old. Giannis is obviously a freight train. He's super young compared to these other guys. He didn't seem to need a break outside of that minor injury, which he was going to come back from no problem. And then again, as much as we trust and love LeBron, LeBron's an old dude. He's got a lot of mileage on his legs, and he has to do a lot come the playoff time. I think this could be a blessing in disguise for him. And then from the Clippers, I had them a close second. I mean, Kawhi, the rest is great for a guy. I mean, Kawhi's not going to have a long career because he's already kind of beat up. Paul George, he had a major injury to start the year. This can't be bad for him either. Lou Williams is an older player. Patrick Beverley is no spring chicken. So for me, we have the exact same order on this one.
Yeah, I figured maybe we would because, there's only 3 teams. It's, yeah, okay, cool. We see it pretty similarly then.
Doesn't mean that it's a huge difference, but if you had to rank them, that's what I was thinking as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we have a little fun on this one. You wanted me to rank my sweet treat favorites, and the options are donuts, cake, ice cream, Oreos, and Doritos. Here is my order, and it is undisputed. All right, first up, Doritos. I am more of a salt over sweet guy, or however you want to call it. Doritos are my favorite chip. These 2 things I struggle to put down: nacho cheese Doritos, spicy nacho cheese, or chips and salsa. So I got Doritos number 1. I got donuts number 2. I love donuts. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like ice cream. I like these other things as well, but I'm a big donuts guy. Ice cream was a close third, and that's where, to me, there's a bigger drop-off because I have Oreos 4th. I like Oreos. I like to dunk them, especially the double stuffs, but it's a nice drop-off after ice cream to Oreos for me. And then I have cake last. Not that I dislike cake, but I can say no to cake. I struggle to say no to a donut.
Okay. I figure we might be a little bit different here. They're all good stuff. I love Doritos. I love Doritos. Who doesn't love Doritos? But Doritos are definitely last for me here. Just like I'm way more of a sweet tooth person than I am.
And like if you would put Fritos or Cheetos, it would be an easy last place for me. But Doritos is my jam.
I won't even eat Fritos. Like I literally won't even eat them. I won't waste calories on Fritos.
Well, here, if they're chili cheese flavor though, they're good. And if you like chili, try putting Fritos over crackers in your chilies. It's an upgrade.
Have you ever had what is it? It's a Mexican taco where you put Fritos on.
Walking taco.
The walking taco. What is it? You put Fritos on.
Or you can get them with Fritos or Doritos. You take like the little bag, you put the chips at the bottom, and then you put the taco stuff in there. Yeah, because my son's into wrestling, and it's one of the things that they always serve at wrestling meets.
Okay. After that, a lot of these are like the same for me. I love all of them. Donuts
What's your number 1?
Well, donuts is my number 1, but I feel like it goes in phases. Right now, donuts is my number 1. Give me a good donut. I love that. I'll go with ice cream number 2. Big ice cream fan, especially like when it's nice out and hot out. Then I'm going to go Oreos number 3. I love Oreos. Give me some Oreos in ice cream, cookies and cream ice cream. Definitely, I'll mess with that. I like cake. Who doesn't like cake? But I'm kind of with you. Like, I'm not like dying for cake. It's not something that like I can't say no to, unless it's like some like amazing cake or something like that. So that'll be 4th for me. And then Doritos. And again, I like Doritos a lot. I don't like how you get the stuff on your hands though. Like,
Oh yeah, we talked about buffalo wings. I forgot you're one of those. I won't call you a weirdo, but yeah, you're one of those weirdos who really his hands.
Yeah, exactly. So like Doritos get all over your hands. So it's just one downside of them. I still love them though. Definitely, no doubt, nacho cheese is the best flavor though.
Yeah,
or the
nacho cheese is my go-to, but I like spicy nacho as well. I like Cool Ranch, don't get me wrong, but I think nacho cheese is vastly superior.
Well, the best is if you have the spicy and then you have like a couple Cool Ranches to cool your mouth down.
I mean, I love Doritos. Doritos are one that I've had to stop buying them. So most of you guys know I've been working on getting certified as a personal trainer. Obviously, that's on a bit of a hiatus right now with gyms not being open. So for most of 2020, I've been really good about eating healthy. I hadn't had donuts in months. I broke that way too many times lately. I got a Quick Trip right by my house. So every time I need gas or something like that, I'm picking up these donuts, which I've done it like 3 times now over the last 3 weeks, which is not smart, but they're there. And then I stopped buying Doritos because my son loves Doritos. But what happens is we buy a bag. If we're making subs for dinner, everybody gets a handful on a plate. And then he goes to bed and I eat the rest of the bag like a giant fat boy.
I knew that Doritos were going to be your number one because when we made a video, you made a couple of videos where you've mentioned your love for Doritos.
Oh, dude, I love Doritos.
I like Doritos too. They're solid. And I just realized I did not have 6 questions. I just accidentally misnumbered. Like I had 2 numbers for 1 question. So that's my fault.
That'll happen, man. And I will take Chipotle over all these things.
I'm not like a huge Chipotle fan either. So it's interesting how our taste buds are different, but hey, to each their own.
I could eat Mexican food 6 days a week. And like I said, it doesn't matter what kind of Mexican food it is. You can start me off at Taco Bell, work your way up to homemade tacos, then bring me to like a Qdoba or a Chipotle, and then any kind of authentic Mexican food is phenomenal. We got this place called Maldonado's in Green Bay, and Green Bay's got a lot of authentic Mexican food because we have a high Hispanic population. They've opened up a lot of these like authentic Mexican places, which are phenomenal. Maldonado's on Main Street is awesome. Now, I'm the only person probably involved in this one living in Green Bay that can eat this. But if anybody comes to visit, that's the place to go for tacos.
Sounds good. I could definitely go for some right now. That is a true statement.
That is definitely true. No doubt about it. So any other topics to discuss off the top of your head? Have you seen that they've been talking about playing baseball starting in the next 2 months, probably? Like 3 divisions of 10 teams, and they all play in different cities.
Yeah, saw that. I don't know like the inner workings of it, but hey, it's better than nothing.
Dude, I'll take anything.
Like we haven't even started talking about this. I guess we can end on this. Like, even if that happens, and it might happen, it might not, we don't know. DFS and like fantasy is gonna be different, man. Like, we talk about this a lot in baseball. Like a saying that I say a lot, especially like things average out. Baseball is a lot about the numbers will be what the numbers will be. Obviously not the exact same every year, but
unless you're Chris Davis's batting average.
Yeah, exactly. If guys start out, guys can be, habitually slow starters, et cetera, et cetera. This is uncharted territory for everyone involved. It's going to be a crapshoot, I think, in every sense of that word. Should be fun to watch. I just can't wait till I guess like next year when we're back to normal.
Assuming we get back to normal, I mean, I don't think that it's crazy to anticipate that we're going to see some major cultural changes, like little things. Like I think shaking hands might be a thing where people like don't do it anymore.
Of course.
Something that we don't need to do that we can go away from. It's a long-standing tradition. I get it. I understand why we've always done it, but it also is, relatively unnecessary.
I think that shaking hands will become like obsolete. Now, I do think that like once there's a vaccine, and it sounds like that might happen sooner than first expected, like that will be the start of normalcy. I don't think that we can get back to normal without having a vaccine.
But I think that what we're sort of talking about is like, we know that we're susceptible to this. And so maybe for future planning, because the United States has been poorly prepared for this. And you can blame Trump, blame Obama, blame back to every administration before that if you want to.
I don't want it to be I don't get it. Like,
I don't want it to be a right or a left or a political thing. Like, I don't know that we would have been much better off 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Well, that's a different statement, though.
Yeah.
Like, I agree with that. But like, for me, like, if you have a head coach of your NFL team, like, in 4 years from now, if the Packers aren't good and Matt LaFleur is blaming Mike McCarthy, that's insane. That's all I'll say.
Sure, but I'm more thinking along the lines of whoever our president is.
Right,
They're bought and sold by corporations, and they always take the immediate buck over long-term preparedness, and that's why you're seeing most of the citizens of the United States right now. I don't think it was going to be any better if it's Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Barack Obama, George Bush. I think this was going to suck no matter who it was.
We were going to be ill-prepared no matter what. I agree with you.
Yes.
I agree with that statement wholeheartedly.
Because I've seen way too many things, and again, you know how into politics I am, be politicized right now, which are not something that needs to be politicized. It wasn't a right-left thing, political, Democrat, Republican, or anything like that. It was more the greed of the top 0.1% versus the rest of us, which we can all get along with, because everybody watching this ain't a billionaire.
This is true.
And if you are, send us some money, please.
Right? Please.
All right, guys, man. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys.